I'm Nathaniel Lee,
And I'm Isaiah Johnson.
and this is our project for CST 256. Go ahead and log in with our user. So we have all our basic profile page, and we can go ahead and go on over to the Find Groups, where it'll show us groups that may interest us. And if we hover over the members, it'll show us the emails of the members that are in a group, and we can go ahead and go to a specific group, check out another member's profile, and we can go ahead and head on over to the Infinity Groups management page, and we can remove a group if we want. That wasn't supposed to happen. Let's go ahead and come on over here to this page and check out the groups again. We can go ahead and leave that group, and we can try removing it again. So the server won't let you remove a group if there are still members in the group. And we'll go ahead and create a group real quick. And it automatically adds the creator to the group. Do you want to go over the code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's start with the Affinity Group controller, and we'll go over. So first, we'll start with the index function. The index function is what takes you to the Affinity Groups page, where it'll display all the Affinity Groups. So all we do is create a business service, and then we call the retrieve all groups function. Go ahead and go to the business service for that.
There's a quick fast. Okay.
Okay, and then so we call the retrieve all groups function, and that's all that's going to do is call the find all function in the and it should just be a simple select statement, selecting everything from the Affinity Group table, and then that'll pass that back out to the business service. And then for every group in the array that's passed back, we need to get the group members that are in it, so we call the find all users in group. And that's a nice big join statement that will get the user's ID, their first name, last name, their phone number, date of birth, gender, their email, whether or not they're suspended, and whether or not they're an admin. And then that'll be passed back out to the business service. And then we add the group members into an array, and all we store is their email and their ID. And then after that, we get the group owner of the group. So we pass ID of the group to the DAO, and then that will select the user's ID and their email. That'll be stored into an array, so that will get passed back up to the business service. And then through that, we create a new group model, and then we pass it the ID of the group, the name of the group, the description, the rules, and then we give them the array with the ID and the email of the owner of the group, and then we give them all the members of the group in that array that we created for each group. So that will be passed back out to the controller, and then the controller will pass that to the view. So in the data array right here, we pass it the current user that's in the session, and then we'll pass it the affinity groups that will be displayed on the page. Thinking, should we show the blade page or the blade file?
Affinity groups. Okay.
Okay, so we'll just go over the blade statements here. So the first one is on the left side, we have the My Groups div, and we're just going to check to see, we call the user get groups, and that's going to retrieve any of the groups that the user is a part of. So if it's empty, we're not going to display anything, we're just going to tell them that they aren't in any groups. And if it's not empty, then we're going to iterate through that, and then we're going to create a div for each group. And then in the div, we're going to have a row for getting the name of the group, and then a row for getting the description. If there's no description, it'll just say that there is no description. The next one would be, which one's this one? Okay, so the next one is the actual displaying all the groups that are a part of the database. So if it's empty, then it won't show anything. It'll just say that there's no groups found. Otherwise, it will. They're going to go down. You can see it down there at the bottom. No groups are found. If there are people in the group, then it will get the owner. First it'll get the group name, put that in a row. Then it'll get the owner of the group, and it'll just take the email of that owner, and then the number of members will just get a count on the array of members. And then this div that says group members, that's a div that gets shown when the user hovers over the number of members. So once they hover over it, it'll display it that has up to 5 group members. We didn't want to have a huge long list of group members, so we just limited it to 5. And then we also display the description of the group. I think that's basically it for the blade page that we show.
Yeah, the rest is the modals.
Yeah. What else? So adding the user, just do add user real fast.
Okay.
Adding the user to the group just gets the user from the session, and then when the user clicks on the join group button, it does an AJAX request, does a post request, and then the only thing that we pass to it is the ID of the group that they want. And then using that, we just call the group services add user to group, and we give it the user and then the group ID that we want to add the user to. And then after that, we just update the user model session variable so that the session variable will now have that new group user, and then we'll just return the result of adding the user. Do you want to go over anything else?
No, I think that's really it for this one.
We should do the manage page real fast.
Okay.
Go over removing a user, or removing a group. Sorry.
Which page is that on?
So that'll be under the blade pages, and it should be under manage affinity groups. Oh, you do not have it on your local?
No.
Okay, so we don't have that on local. We just have that on the cloud right now.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I need to refresh this real quick. There we go.
There we go. Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so this is the manage affinity groups page. It does the same thing as the other manage pages, so I don't want to spend all day on this. It's just literally the same thing. So we just created a jQuery data table, and then it'll be get affinity groups. It'll be that function. So if you go down, so we're doing a get request with the URL of retrieve affinity groups, and in the routing page in the routing file, that will route it to, I think it's the admin control, because the admin controller and the affinity group controller need to display 2 different things. The affinity controller is gonna, it's not gonna JSON encode the actual groups. So I think that's right there. So that's, okay, never mind. This should be down at the bottom.
Retrieve all groups.
Retrieve all groups. That's just going to call the retrieve all groups service, which we already went over, and then it's going to JSON and send that back out the page. And then using that'll display the table. And then when the user clicks the remove button, if you go up, So it'll just send a post with the URL of remove affinity group, and then the reason why we have to pass a token variable in the data array is because if you don't, then the PHP won't allow you to try and do that post request. So we have to pass the token, and then we pass the ID of the group we want to remove. And if you go to, is that the admin controller?
Give me once. I thought that was the affinity controller. Oh, no, it is the admin controller. Okay.
There it is. So it'll just take the ID that's passed, and then it'll call the group business services remove group, and it'll give it the ID. Once it does that, if it's successful, it'll return the manage affinity groups page. Otherwise, it'll return the fail page. And then for this milestone, we also incorporated logging, and then we incorporated our custom exceptions. So if something goes wrong in the database, it'll pass, and it will redirect them to the fail page.
And here's an example of the custom exception.
Yep, so it'll just tell you where it happened and what the error message was. And it'll throw that error back out.
And that's our project.